Listen, social media can do a lot of things, and of course, obviously, whatever it is, there's an app for that. But I didn't have any idea there was an app for this. And that's one of the reasons why we have Dr. Hong on. Dr. Mark Hong, board-certified urologist, coming back to visit us on a Thursday morning. Social media is making a difference in so many lives, but how does it affect your health?
Well, it's having a huge impact in our lives, and of course our lives are about our health. So anything that affects our lives essentially is also about our health. Social media, and of course by social media we're defining that as the use of the internet through which there's some communication medium. So it's not just you go to Google and you look something up. If you think about what we do on Facebook, we actually are sharing information among communities. And that's the real key here, Pat, is that you actually have communities of people who have been vetted to some degree, people who you may know either through work or through social connections, but for whatever reason, it's just like when you want to go buy a car or go to a movie. Reading a critic's review is one thing. To have your close friend say, hey, listen, I saw this and you're gonna love it.
Yeah, but how close can my friends be if I want information on STDs?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting, obviously, and we know that privacy is an issue that has impacted the internet and healthcare specifically. And of course, Facebook has come under a lot of fire about its privacy rules, not just Facebook, but many social media organizations. That's a big gray area out there. When that crossroads with healthcare, yes, that is where we get some really interesting issues.
Like what, for example?
Well, for example, the sharing of information is tightly regulated by the government. We have laws called HIPAA laws that do try to ensure some degree of privacy. But the rules that privacy, the privacy regulations that companies have come up with to date, they haven't always been standardized. And so I kind of live in the healthcare app world, and in the app world, we don't have a whole lot of oversight right now. In fact, we just got regulations from the FDA on what even a healthcare app is. And so it's, we have 100,000 apps out there on the internet for healthcare, but only a handful of them are even regulated by the FDA. So there's a lot of promise out there with social media, but there's also some potential dangers. But
you contend that social media can have a direct impact, and has had a direct impact, on HIV prevention and testing. In what way?
Well, there's a study that came out recently, fairly small study, but it does prove some concepts. It proves the concept that through social media, you can actually get better education among the people involved than just the traditional methods, or by traditionally just using the internet. So it's an interesting study because it was a study looking at HIV prevention and some of the strategies around that. And they took a group of men who got education through their social media outlet, for example, Facebook, or education through just a more traditional outlet. And it clearly showed that there was more I guess what we call execution of that information, or more people acting on that information on the group that were using Facebook, because the Facebook platform allowed people to discuss among themselves, to really encourage each other more quickly, use the chat functions, those kinds of things. And we've actually been seeing this not just for HIV prevention, but also in cardiovascular disease and diabetes management. It actually opens up a whole new world to communicate through. So in the past, of course, we had chat rooms, we had all this stuff, but something like Facebook or Twitter, it kind of gives a new spin on that and allows a lot of the different channels to come together in one.
And as a board-certified urologist in private practice here in the Valley, are you encouraged or are you concerned about all the ramifications of this?
Well, the interesting thing is I don't think we even know what all the ramifications are, but that's also both a danger and an opportunity. To me, I'm more on the end of I'm encouraged. I run my own blog. I have an active Facebook page where I like to post things that are interesting to me and that I think are interesting to people out there. And I love Facebook because I can see how people are responding. I'm also on Twitter, and you can see what people are retweeting, and that gives me a connection to people not just in my office, but what the pulse of what people are worried about out there.
A few years ago, it would have been inconceivable that anybody would have said on television, tweet your neighborhood urologist for information. But in fact, maybe specifically in a field like yours, sometimes in the past where people have been hesitant about talking to one another, even in the family, now they can get information from so many different sources. That's also true of our kids. Is that a good idea?
Well, I think the point on that is that information is fine, but you need to make sure the information is coming from a trusted source. And that's where Facebook actually can make the difference, because you may actually know this source personally or be able to know more about them. Maybe you know a friend of a friend who knows this person, even if it's a TV personality or somebody. But the Facebook is all about community and the vetting process. If you know that it's coming from a trusted source, for example, your community urologist, then you may be able to understand things and trust it a little bit more. But especially when it comes to our children, we need to make sure that the information out there is actually spot on.
Well, we've changed the grasp of knowledge, and we hope that that will also make some behavioral changes, too, when we're talking about something like this. And after all, if you're saying, oh, all right, so Dr. Hong, I mean, we've got thousands of physicians. Yeah, Stanford, Harvard, University of Beijing. Did I miss anything? We haven't got time. Dr. Hong, in private practice, you want to find out about any more schools, you can check it out at the office or the next time he visits the Morning Scramble.